When it's your business, owner is just one of your jobs. Cox Business Security Solutions can help with a customized surveillance and detection system that lets you monitor your business while you're at work and when you're away. It's peace of mind throughout the day and the promise of a good night's sleep, reassuring you everything is in its place and will still be there for whatever your job may be tomorrow. Cox Business Security Solutions. Secure what you're working for.
Available to businesses in most Cox Business serviceable areas. Service agreement required. Other restrictions apply.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host my show, Last After Half. Today, we're going to be doing a shot today, but we're also going to be dealing with kind of an important topic. This is a longer show than normal. This is 2 hours. And basically, this lady that I brought on is a activist for abused women, and she's been surviving, she survived a lot. She's actually been in the news recently, and it's something that I wanted her to meet my co-host Kelly, because they have a lot of things in common. They've both been taken advantage of, and, by men or whatever it is. And are you there, Victoria?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and are you there, Kelly?
Yes, hi.
Okay. Now, when you've never had anything like this done before, right?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Yes, I'm asking you.
Having my chakras read, you meant? Is that what you mean? Having my chakras?
Yeah.
Then?
Yes.
Well, not my chakras, no. I mean, I've certainly been to psychics and astrologers and palmists and aura readers and different things, so I would say it's probably right up my alley.
Okay, well, what she's going to do, I'm gonna give her the floor, and I'm going to let Kelly do what she does. And then maybe afterwards, if there's we're probably going to be having some questions for you. And this will be a good lead into some questions. So go and do your stuff, Kelly.
Okay, thank you. First, what I'm going to do, Victoria, is I'm going to explain what I'm going to do for you and anybody listening who might or might not be familiar with what I do. Are you in a position where you can lay down or recline?
Yeah, I could do that.
Oh, okay, thank you. I find it's a lot easier because
Me
our
too.
chakras, it's a lot easier to relax. I haven't had anybody fall asleep on me yet, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
Okay. I won't be the first, I promise.
Yeah. Well, you might be, because I haven't had it happen yet. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but usually it's informative enough that, people can feel something happening, and then I'm explaining my end of it and what is coming across to me. So usually people are really engaged. It's just, when I ask people to relax, it just kind of makes me wonder a little bit if I might have somebody just kind of, get too relaxed. But,
right.
You never know. Yeah.
Well, I'm open. I'm not familiar with your style. How you go about this. So this is an interesting experience for me. Except
good.
I've got a dog that doesn't want to get off my lap.
Yeah, you got comfortable. The dog decided it wanted to get comfortable.
Yeah, as soon as I laid down, she jumped up on the bed and
She's
sat
great
on me.
with the animals, by the way, Bella Victoria.
Claiming me.
She goes straight with the animals.
Well, soon I'll be doing pet readings. It's just right now I'm still practicing. And anybody listening, if you submitted a picture of your pet, I haven't done it yet. Don't worry, I didn't forget you. So basically with this, is we have 7 chakras, which are energy centers, and
Yes.
they go from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown, which is just above our head. And they're energy centers, like wheels of energy, and they are partly controlled with our breath as far as the circulation goes. And it's like 7 wheels within a wheel of energy, if that makes sense. And they're tied into our organs and different systems in our bodies, and different ones have different functions as far as how we things or emotions or how we process things. Things can get stuck. They can be like traumatic events. They can be different things. And when I use a little gemstone on like a string type thing, and it doesn't have to be one of those, but I use it. If it goes side to side or back and forth, that tells me that there's either a block in the energy or there's a negative energy there. And then when it goes in a circle, depending on how strong that circle is, it's telling me how strong it is and how open it is. So that is kind of a neat indicator to me of things that are happening. And what I like to do, and you can follow along if you can, if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. I rub my hands together vigorously to where you can kind of, feel it warm and feel it tingly. And then I stop, and I have them about shoulder width apart, and I start bringing them slowly together until I'm cupping them, and they're about 5 to 6 inches away from each other, and I start to feel resistance. Now, some people may have to practice this a few times. People that are energy sensitive, people that practice meditation, they might be able to pick up on it easier. But that's what I do, because that concentrates the energy there in a ball. And what I'm doing now is I focus on your photo, your face, your eyes, and I'm also focusing on your first chakra, which is your root chakra, and that's basically at the base of your spine and the place where you're sitting, where you'd be sitting on, and that is our most primal and important energy center. That's our survival instinct. That's our need for safety. So if we feel threatened, or if we have something that's like a memory attached there that we haven't completely dealt with, and sometimes that'll come up in something like this. So what I'm doing is I have the pendulum, and I'm sweeping my hands downward and sending any residual energy into the ground so it's neutralized. So we don't have anything it's not picking up on something that we're not aware of that was from before. And all right, let's see what we get.
Okay.
It's going around in a circle. It's a fast circle. It's not like a great big sweeping one. And okay, what I'm getting from this is that any residual things that you've had from experiences, you have been dealing with very well in a healthy way. And I think your outreach and speaking out for what happened to you and other women, I think is really, really helping to cleanse you. It's really helping to get you in the place where you need to be with feeling healthy and safe. And that's unusual because a lot of times people find these to be stumbling blocks, and they have a lot of things they need to work through. I can help with getting rid of negative energy. I can help open it up, but, you know, with what you've been through, you know that it takes a lot of work, working on oneself.
Yeah.
And some people aren't ready for that. At least, you know, eventually they might be, but in the meantime, they'll still be revisiting things and have things, you know, surface now and then. So that one was doing really well. Your sacral one is the second one, and that one's located between your bikini line and your belly button, and that's your emotional body, your sensuality, and your creativity. And let's see what that is. Okay, that one's doing a bigger circle. That one's doing a big sweeping one. It's going really fast. It's what I call it helicoptering. It's basically going so fast you can't see it, and it's horizontal. So that's a really good sign. Yeah. I just feel like you really focused on your outreach, which is really helping you to heal. And that you take really good care of yourself, which is very important.
Yeah, I do.
That's good. Yeah, I feel like you're making a lot of healthy choices.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. That's always good, right?
Yeah. I've done the other.
Yeah.
In my youth. We don't want to revisit that.
No, we always, you know, at different times in our lives, we all end up, you know, experimenting and seeing, you know, what's what and how we react to this and if we like that, and then, you know, like, well, been there, done that, don't need it. You know? But, you know, yeah. The solar plexus is the third one, and that one's located between your belly button and your sternum. And that one is your personal power, your self-esteem, your warrior energy, and your power of transformation. Let's see how that's doing. Wow. I have a nice healthy circle here. It's not helicoptering like the other one, but what it's telling me is that you have gone through a few transformations, and you're in the middle of one right now.
I'm in the which one?
You're in the middle of a transformation right now. Like, things are starting to pick up for you. Things are starting to go in a even better direction. Like, if there's levels of transformation, you are definitely rising onto the next level.
Oh, that's a good thing to hear. I feel it.
Yeah. Good. And sometimes with that, things will end up being a little difficult at first or along the way, but I feel like you have the ability to stick with it and, you know, see those just for temporary, you know, temporary stumbles, temporary, you know, not necessarily roadblocks, but more like challenges, you know.
Right.
But I do feel that you're really good at making the right decisions and being able to trust your instincts.
It's taken a long time.
Yeah.
You know.
But I really feel like you are definitely on the right path. And that you've learned a lot about yourself.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's super important. And a lot of people, they don't go that deep always. Some people don't want to. Some people don't know how, or they're focused on extraneous outside things happening and they don't delve within. But I feel like you find your strength from within yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. That's a good, healthy source right there, because I can sense that you've learned that the one person you can count on is yourself, but you also have your support people. Yeah, that's true. But I always have to go back to myself, because I'm the only one I know for sure is going to do what I wanted to do. You have to count on yourself. If you can't count on yourself, you can't expect anybody else to count on you. Yeah, and I feel that sometimes along your path, being that you have dealt with fame, you've dealt with celebrity, I feel that you've had some times where you've wondered who your true friends are. You've wondered, like, who can I count on, because you're wondering if they want you for who you are or the person that everybody, thinks you are, like what they could get from you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's been really hard, because I feel like you want to trust people, and it was really hard to learn how to do that, but also do it without trusting someone wholeheartedly right away. And but you're picking up better on just having the instinct on knowing better how to pick better people around you.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like you're going through a new level of empowerment, and that it's like, I keep using the word transformation, but really that's what it is, that you're transforming yourself into a more spiritual being. Like, you're ascending, and you're able to relate to other people, and they're able to relate to you. And you're going to be helping millions of women and men too, because men can get exploited. Men can have things happen that they don't want, and then they're afraid to come out and say something, because, there are people out there that would be like, well, you're a man. Didn't you want that?
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I have young men reach out to me also. Mhm.
That's good. That's good, because you're a source of hope for a lot of people. I don't know if you realize that.
Well, I think I get little kind of peeks into what it means to other people from private messages that are sent to me, and and that just affirms that I am on the right path and I am speaking truth, and that's what I'm hoping to continue to do. So you have to keep looking to yourself to make sure that you're in center, and that the truth that you are speaking is not necessarily prejudiced from your own self-interest, that it is more of a universal truth that will speak to everyone and anyone, not just a specific few.
Yeah, and that can be the tricky part for people. And for some people, clear, and then they find out, whoa, I guess I was off a bit and didn't know. It's kind of like the feedback loop.
Well, it's like, I don't know if you've ever done pottery on a potter's wheel, but when you get the wheel spinning and you have this lump of unformed clay, you slap it down on the middle of the wheel and cup your hands over it. And as the clay is getting smooth and you get it centered, it's not something you can look at and say, oh, yeah, it's in center. It's something you have to almost psychically feel.
Oh, yeah.
you hold your hands, and then all of a sudden you just feel it go into sync. And then once it's in sync, once it's centered, then you can start pulling up the sides to make a water-holding vessel.
Oh, yeah.
If it's off-center, it's not going to hold anything. It's not going to be stable. It's not going to be secure. And therefore, it won't be usable in a positive way. So it's kind of that same thing that we do with our souls, with our spirits, and our purpose and our truth. We have to just kind of go within ourselves and find that center place and then speak from there, from that moment, from that place that you feel that you are aligned.
Yeah. There are things that unless I feel like I'm aligned, I don't feel like I should do, and I don't.
Right.
But, there's, generally that's becoming less and less frequent that I don't feel aligned, which I think is a sign that I'm growing. I try to be aligned in everything that I do consciously.
Well, yeah, I think, not being aligned means you're off balance. And then your footing is not secure. So it's important, I think, before you make any moves at all to, whether you're meditating or just, digging in the garden or hanging out with the dogs, whatever you're doing, you have to take that moment to just kind of get into your center place so that you are equally balanced, and then you can move forward from there. Doesn't mean that you're always going to take the right step, but, certainly, but will be a more measured step. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
What chakras are you on? Which chakra are we on?
We just did the solar plexus, which is the third one.
Okay.
I'm going to check the heart one, and that's our opening of feeling, our compassion, our capacity to love, and it doesn't like conflict. So, okay. Yeah, that one's doing a nice big circle. Yeah, that one is really, it's not exactly helicoptering yet, but I'm feeling it. I keep holding it. It's going to. Yeah, it's starting to. Yeah, it's doing like super fast, big circles. I had a feeling just from talking to you and your voice that it would be open. Your throat one is the next one, and that one is your ability to manifest and express your truth in the world. And I know we just talked about being able to do that and go within and find out what our truth is. So let's see. I don't anticipate any problem in this area, but let's see what it says. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this like helicoptered right away. So yeah, that's like super fast. Like it doesn't even. I mean, it's hard for me to hang on to it, honestly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're definitely digging deep and finding it, and I think once you know what your truth is, you don't have problems expressing it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I don't have any problem expressing myself.
That's healthy. That's good. Yeah, when we stifle it down and we're afraid to say anything that, things aren't happening that aren't good. This is the sixth one is the third eye, and that's the intuition and recognizing patterns of learning and building memory skills. So let's see how that is. Okay, that one's a slower circle, but it's big and sweeping. And it's now going very fast, like horizontal. So I'm I'm getting from that you're really doing well with it. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to discern whether something's following a pattern that you've seen before or if it's just, personal bias, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but trust your gut because your gut's not going to mislead you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the head can try to tell you something different. Your heart can try to pull you in a different direction, but your gut's always going to be spot on. Even if it's stuff that you don't want to hear, it's gonna know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the last one is the crown chakra. And that's the access to the higher states of consciousness and being open to what is beyond our understanding. It's also our interconnectedness in the universe and, for those who are religious, God or, whoever people pray to.
Uh-huh.
So I don't like to assume. So I know there's people of all different faiths and non-faiths and, so I don't want to step on
it varies with me. It's either a tree or a bird or the sun or some beautiful child or a lovely animal, or it is a goddess, or it's a great spirit, or it's, the sky, the moon.
Yeah.
I believe in the spirit in all things, and trying to walk in harmony with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what it shows us. Okay, yeah. This is totally like helicopter right away, going super fast. It's a blur. So, and most people, honestly, they get stuck in the first three chakras because those are more earthbound. And here you're all the way up to the crown chakra. Everything's looking great. Everything is like spot on, open, vibrant, healthy flow. So, yeah, you've definitely done a lot of inner work.
Or just gone with the flow. I don't know.
Yeah, that helps a lot, when we're trying to fight what's happening, that doesn't really help sometimes,
Yeah,
sometimes the higher power.
Sometimes just figure that you're put on a path and you have to and that's where you follow your gut,
Yeah, and some people try to fight it, and it's, if it's a lesson or something that they're supposed to learn, or, a path they're supposed to be on to lead them to something better. If they're fighting it, then they're fighting their reason for having to be there.
Right.
And it makes it rougher. Obviously, if you're in a bad spot, you want to do everything you can to improve it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying stay in that bad spot and, sit in it, but, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I do. I understand completely what you're saying.
Yeah.
So is she totally clean, or is she done with the chakras?
Yeah, this is amazing.
Did you go
How
through
did you
them
feel
okay?
during it? Yeah.
I'm sorry,
you feel
what was
during
that?
it, Victoria?
What is that? I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
How do you feel? How did you process, and how do you feel now?
Well, I feel fine, other than the fact that my dogs keep barking and bucking me and wanting my attention, because they're like toddlers, and as soon as I give my attention to anybody else, they have to be, and it's getting close to their dinner time, so of course they're on alert.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sorry, Jonathan, I can't hear you.
I wanted to know if she's done with the chakras, because I wanted to be able to text that lady so that she can call in.
Yeah, we're done. I just wanted to see, if she feels better or different, or, if there was like weird sensations happening or anything. I mean,
my heart was beating really fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm thinking, am I just upset over the dogs bugging me, or is it something else? Because usually shouting at them takes care of that, But I'm on the air, so I don't think I want to be shouting at my dogs to be quiet. So I was going, I wonder if my heart is beating really fast because I'm restraining myself with the dogs, or if there is something coming through from you. So but actually once you finish that, now it's gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now that you finish the chakras, it's completely gone. My pulse, everything's back to normal.
Oh, wow. And the dogs stopped.
And the dogs have calmed down a little bit, too, for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to break the spell, but yeah.
Yeah. I think they were picking up on some, slight shifting and, maybe some energy trading a little bit, and they're like, okay, this is different. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, dogs are so intuitive. Well, all animals are, really, if you tune in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like my bearded dragons are some of the most intuitive animals I've ever met.
The which? I'm sorry?
Bearded dragons, they're a type of lizard.
A lizard, the bearded dragons, right. Oh, really? Intuitive, huh?
Yeah, they can, like, if I'm upset and I don't say anything, they will just have a fit wanting to come out and be with me. And, I mean, I don't say anything, yet, and it's like they know. And then they just want to be heaped on me and cuddle. And then there's, times where, if I'm doing energy work, they'll be really quiet.
I was wanting to say something about the two of you. It's sort of funny because Kelly lost her mom about a few years ago, and I always thought that when you told me, Victoria, that you sort of saw Devin DeVasquez as like a daughter figure, and I immediately thought, what, it'd be good if, I don't know, I'm not going to push it. That's up to you two, but I think Kelly, this lady Victoria would be a good mother figure for you.
Oh, that's sweet, Jonathan. That's so nice of you. Well, Devin kind of just claimed me one day. So many years ago, and I really didn't have any part in it at all. But now I just have to accept her because she's claimed me.
Aw, that's cute.
She calls me Mama V.
Aww.
Yeah, I've accumulated a few surrogate daughters and grandchildren too. So and a couple of surrogate grandsons and sons. It just seems to happen, and so I've got a lot of people that call me Nana, and a lot of people that call me Mama V or Mama Vic or Auntie Vic. Some I'm related to, but most I am not blood related to. So. Okay. Yeah, so I think I fill a need. And of course, it fills a need for me, too, because my children live in 2 different states, and my grandchildren also. So it's nice to have kids and grandkids, even if they're not specifically your blood relations,
Okay, so we have here, is that you, Jeanette Lucas?
What?
Just Jeanette Lucas, are you there?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Okay. Now, this is Jeanette Lucas. I wanted to introduce you to the two of you, Victoria, and Kelly as well. This is a lady who is a forensic psychic who is known for her work as crime assessment, as well as pinpointing the location of the toddler Casey Anthony and finding over 20 missing people. She's been written up in the Smithsonian magazine. and worldwide for various abilities and casework. And her website is reachjeanette.com. You've had some similar experiences to Victoria, and as well as Kelly. So I thought I'd bring you on, maybe if you have any questions for each other. Do you have any questions for Victoria, Jeanette?
Hello? Yes, hi, Victoria. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, too.
I'm so sorry you had to go through such a tragedy.
Oh, well, it wasn't the only one, so, we just, this is what we're dealt, I guess, for whatever reasons.
Well, that's one thing I was hoping to address, because I had some unusual circumstances happen to me, and, a lot of these guys have a rape kit, or they have a plan or an agenda, and if they don't have the right connections to the right time, then you're not going to get raped. And unfortunately, I think he was prepared for you, and he may have been looking at 5 women that night, and you just happened to be the pick of the litter, like a victim.
Well, it was a little bit of a different scenario, but he was interested in my roommate, and we were in a restaurant where he was a part owner, and I had already met him. I'd been interviewed by him for a part on I Spy, which he was starring in at the time, and it was shortly after my son had drowned, so I took a photograph of my son to show him and tell him my son was biracial. So it became very uncomfortable, and so I left because, he was just simply not responding to anything. He was just sitting and staring at my son's picture like it was, he was just cardboard. So I didn't expect to see him ever again, nor to get an audition or a part on the show, which is why I was there in the first place. But my girlfriend and my roommate and I had gone to a restaurant that we used to go to around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were just sitting there having some onion soup and bread and sharing a little half carafe of wine, and he came up to the table and was interested in her, but I was having a bad day. I was crying a lot, and I just was trying to pull myself together when he came up to the table. So he took advantage of that and used my grief to get to my girlfriend and suggested that she take me for a spa treatment and and a massage, and then he'd send his driver over to my grandmother's house where we were living, and that he would take us out for dinner.
So he had a plan.
Yeah, and he had given her his private line. So over dinner in a restaurant, he gave us pills because I was being made feel like I was such a wet blanket, But she wound up being saved because I distracted him, when after she was unconscious. He was supposed to take us home, and he took us someplace else, and we were so drugged out we didn't know where we were.
So you were at his particular house?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Your voice is just... So what?
So what I'm saying is you were at his house?
No. We were at a restaurant on the Sunset Strip, and we were so drugged out by then that, we wanted to go home. And so he said, oh, sure, fine, and took us up to the parking lot where his car and his driver had dropped us off, and he was supposed to wait for us, and then his driver was not there. And I asked him where his driver was, and he said, oh, he had something else to do, but I'll take you girls home. And instead of taking us to my grandmother's house, he took us to like a townhouse kind of office building up in the Hollywood Hills someplace, and said he wanted to show us his awards for I Spy with Robert Culp, and so he, he took my girlfriend out of the car, and I was hoping to stay because I had spinners and nausea and all this stuff. So, but then he opened the back door of the car where I was and reached in, took me by the arm, and took me out. And so we went up to this place. It was supposed to be his office, but it wasn't a working office. It was, two love seats and a little writing desk, and low lights, and all of his posters and stuff up on the wall framed. And that was it. And she went right over and sat down and became completely unconscious, and he was sitting looking down on her because it was pretty obvious what he had on his mind. Mm-hmm. And so so I started trying to distract him and pull him off of her, and ultimately, he just got annoyed and took it out on me, and then abandoned us and told us to call a cab. She was still unconscious. And so when he slammed out of there, I went over and woke her up enough to try to figure out what to do, but we didn't know where we were, so we couldn't really call a cab, to an address that we had no idea about. And then so we thought we would call our house, and her boyfriend was at home, and hopefully we could figure out what to do. Or he could figure out, because we were still so out of it, we couldn't think straight, And so, but then the phone cord was cut. It was a prop phone. It was an old-fashioned fake French provincial phone with a cloth cord, those, and it was just completely cut. There wasn't a plug. There wasn't a jack. So, then we realized we were completely set up. And then we took off and went down the stairwell just in case he was coming back up in the elevator, and ran out in the street and just started running down hills till we ran into the Sunset Strip, which was quite a ways, and happened to grab a cab and get home.
Oh, wow!
So it was a rough night.
I am sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. There's some kind of noise in the background, so it's tough to focus. But so I don't know how long I'll be on. But can you handle questions, or you can't?
Are you asking me or Jonathan?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah, I can handle some questions. I had to feed my dogs because it was time. And they won't let me forget it. So, yeah, of course, I can handle questions.
So did you have a chit-chat with your girlfriend over the circumstance, and did she recall anything, or she was totally blacked out?
Well, no, we didn't talk about it, actually. We just kind of, stuffed it, went home. I think she told her boyfriend, but I don't know what she told him. I went off to my room, and I became rather suicidal after that. And then wound up leaving Los Angeles, walked away from a recording career at Capitol Records, and walked away from my family and everything for about 12 years.
And so are you still modeling now?
No, I'm not modeling. Actually, I became a registered nurse.
Wow.
In 1986. I left. I'm sorry, what? I'm an actress, I'm a writer, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm a registered nurse. That pays the bills.
Absolutely.
And I do a lot of media interviews and stuff based on sexual assault awareness and women's empowerment.
I think that Lucas is a nurse.
I can't.
Do you choose to do that?
No,
Jonathan, your voice is kind of popping in and out, and it's hard for me to hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Sure. No, so now you're a nurse and you do all these extra things, and I'm sure it helps the populace. When you were taken to this office, were you in his car? I mean, I don't mean to be prying because I know it's a very hurtful circumstance.
Oh, it's all over the internet. You're not prying. Well, yeah, yes. When we said we wanted to go home and he was going to take us home, he was taking us back up. We thought he was taking us back to his chauffeur in his car. He had met us at the restaurant in his car, and the chauffeur had picked us up at my grandmother's house and taken us to the restaurant. So we met in the parking lot. He came to meet us and took us downstairs into the restaurant. And so when we got back up to the parking lot, thinking that the chauffeur and the car were going to be there to take us back home, his chauffeur was not there. And so I asked him, I said, what happened to your chauffeur? And he said, oh, he had something else to do. I'll drive you girls home. And we went, oh, okay. And then we got in the car. I got in the back seat. She got in the front. And then instead of turning right to go down onto the Sunset Strip, because my grandmother only lived a few blocks from there, south of Sunset on the flat neighborhoods, instead he turned left and went up into the Hollywood Hills. And we were feeling nauseated, and we were feeling, spinning in our heads, and, you couldn't talk because it sounded like garble, and our legs wobbly, and he was chatting her up and, driving around in the hills. And then all of a sudden came to a stop. And I think we were so drugged out that, sitting in the car, it was just, you were just trying to maintain yourself so that you didn't spin out or you didn't throw up in this guy's car, So by the time he stopped, it was in front of this little townhouse kind of thing, and he just wanted to, he said, oh, come upstairs, I want you to see my awards, and blah, blah, blah. And needless to say, we could have cared less. We just wanted to go home. And but felt we needed to be polite and everything, the big star, and we were, he'd just taken us to dinner and treated us to a spa, a spa and a massage, all in the name of taking care of me because I was so grief-stricken. So it was his game, that was what he used to get to her, because she was an actress with incredibly pale, white blue eyes, and they were just absolutely hypnotic eyes. And guys who saw them, well, it didn't matter whether you were a guy or not, they were so magnificent that you just never forgot her eyes. They were so startling. And so, so that's, so he was crazed, and I just happened to be what he was able to use, as an excuse to get her. So that was pretty much it. She and I never talked about it in the same thing, and the house broke up pretty soon. They went their own way, and I went my way. And that was pretty much it.
Yep. I'm sorry. Go
Kelly,
ahead,
are
Jonathan.
you there?
I'm just taking it all in. Yeah,
I just
can you hear me?
wondered if you had anything to add, because you've had similar experiences to all this. So I wanted to give you a chance to chime in. Do you?
Yeah, it seems very calculated. It sounds, I'm not trying, please don't take this the wrong way, but, I accidentally saw some porn, and they're interviewing girls for a show they think is going to be like a innocent show, like his show, and then they end up being interviewed, and then they start being taken advantage of. It's like porn, and it's like about the worst porn plot I've ever heard of. And he but it's like apparently guys do this. Like, you know, that otherwise nobody would come up with the idea. And it's sad and it's sickening because I know that what you went through is true, because a lot of guys that are in positions of power, like, hey, I can give you a job, or hey, you want to be more well known, or hey, you know, whatever, they use the advantage of, you know, being influential. And someone like Bill Cosby, everybody thinks is like this really nice, you know, family type guy on these family type shows. And so of course you're trying to get a job on one of those, you know, types of shows. And, you know, he seems like one of these charming, like almost disarming type personalities where you feel like you could sit down and have a decent conversation. Not, you know, you don't feel like you could have to have your MO.
Victoria, what were you saying?
What they are promoting, that's how they groom their victims.
Yeah.
It's
like
a grooming process, these people, these rapists, you know.
Absolutely.
They become your mentor. That was his game with most of his victims. He would reel them in, you know, with, I will mentor you. And because he was so successful, that made the young actress think, oh my gosh, you know, I really must be something special. This big star is willing to mentor me because he's seeing my talent, you know, without realizing that this was his grooming
agenda.
Process. And
sure.
He probably, we have come to the conclusion that this man is most likely the most prolific serial rapist of the 20th century.
Holy cow. I don't doubt it.
And his fetishes and his grooming process were all very much alike, you know, with every one of his victims. There was always a thread of continuity, you know, in his style. And, you know, he had certain fetishes. Eyes were one of them, and one of them was hair. He'd like the girls to get their hair wet, and he'd brush it or want to make it sleek. And then the other thing was that he couldn't have sex with a woman facing her, or she couldn't be facing him. He couldn't look at their faces, so he'd always turn them backwards. And they needed to be unconscious. It's called somnophilia. Yeah.
Oh.
I went to two psychics before the show, and let me tell you one thing they told me. Two psychics told me this, not just one, that we do not know all the victims. That,
we don't.
Those people that were there, and also I've had some people say that you know, he's
more. That have not gone public.
Yeah, there are more
and we know that their bodies buried somewhere. And
What'd you say?
His earlier chauffeur, who was the one responsible for getting some of these women home as he got his routine down better, that chauffeur has totally disappeared. And nobody knows exactly what happened to him. We can only surmise. There are people investigating.
So you're saying go ahead,
well,
Jonathan.
Look, when you're fooling around with drugs with a bunch of people you don't really know, you don't know if they have any health diagnoses, you don't know their body weight versus, you know, how many milligrams they're going to get. I mean, you know, there are bound to be some overdoses there that possibly didn't recover.
Oh, yeah.
Is there suggestion that there is a victim of homicide? Is that what you're saying, Victoria?
Oh, well, most people assume that is true, yes. It's just that they have no proof of it because they haven't found bodies nor witnesses to attest to that. But it just is logical. It just goes without saying. some of the stuff he was playing with, but hundreds of prescriptions.
Wow.
That he used ad lib, without any knowledge about these people's health condition.
Correct.
Think about it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So did they find out where he was getting all the drugs from? Were they street drugs, or were they from a particular physician? Can you hear me?
You have that kind of fame, and when you have that kind of money, you've got doctors who are willing to,
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had the water on. I was rinsing my fingers off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, every sound you have there, every sound you make, I can't hear. So I'm sorry about that.
I will. All right. So there are an awful lot. There are an awful lot of investigative reporters who are trying to sleuth.
I can't hear you.
I said there are still a lot of investigative reporters who are still trying to sleuth out some of these things, and possibly, what his wife's involvement might be, because she was his personal manager all these years and knew where every penny went.
Yeah.
Are you sure she?
Why she would stay with them?
Because
am I sure
there's
what?
a lot of money. I'm sorry, I got off track. My apologies. I guess I just have so many questions. So I think that down the road there are obviously going to be some more issues that come up after a bunch of these reporters find out tale and more digging.
Yeah, well, certainly we hope so. Every one of us sisters, we all have our stories and, ideas and thoughts about what it might have been, and know people that have stories where there were near misses and, a variety of interesting stories that they have had ever since back in the 60s. And so, there's an awful lot there that has not yet come to light. And a lot of the reasons why they haven't come to light is because many people are afraid to speak out, or they have necessarily no witnesses, or they're always the statute of limitations is so far gone that they may not want to speak out for other reasons, obviously, but a lot of times, the statute has run out, and no point in me dredging up my old sorrows,
Well, it's very private. It's a very private matter. And
sure, because...
Yeah. I can't hear you.
Unreported.
Okay.
Sexual crimes are a very different kind of crime than theft or murder or fraud. It's all pretty cut and dry. Those are cut and dried, whereas sexual crimes have a whole bunch of different kinds of connotations to them. And it's very sticky and, prickly and complicated. And there's so much shame and fear and being re-traumatized and re-victimized by the legal system that so many people do not want to report.
I don't blame them. I never went public on my situation, and I never went to the police by my situation. But the good thing for me was that on one of my circumstances, I decided to. I'll just share this real quick. I'm a huge advocate for prevention. Is that I was at a bar in D.C. because I'm from the D.C. area, and a man asked me to give him a ride home, and I felt badly for him because nobody wanted to give him a ride home, and I felt like, oh my gosh, he's drunk. And he goes, that old cliche, oh, you're so cute, whatever works. Oh, come on over to my house, blah blah. And I thought, well, he's cute, but he's awful drunk. And got very aggressive in a matter of like 15 minutes. And I said, listen, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me go drop you off at the front door. I'll go park, and I'll come on back, and we'll just go fool around. And he goes, okay. I knew that's what he wanted to hear. I dropped him off. I never went to park. I went home. And I gave him the telephone number.
You have to be smart.
Yep. And within weeks, he was arrested. Yeah, and within weeks, he was arrested for rape, which was great. I mean, it was great in the sense that I didn't make such a large mistake. So,
and your intuitive told you the truth. You listened. It did. It really was great. I mean, I had another circumstance, and I felt very lucky. Similar scenario, but it turned into a homicide because some of these people escalate. So when you said that there is supposition that Bill Cosby may have taken it too far, given too many drugs, for all we know, he's given people shots, or when I say shots, like a needle, or he's, put it not just in his drink, in the food or whatever. And you're right, the body weight and the medicine themselves can be very damaging to the heart, or depending on the drug, it could have collided with another drug in somebody else's body. Which is absolutely. I mean, maybe some people have been on medication for other things. Maybe one of the girls had, juvenile onset diabetes. And when you calculate any kind of medication like that to give to another being, whether it be an animal or a human, it's all measured out by body weight.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you've got a little skinny girl and a hefty girl, you cannot give them the same dosage. But he, as someone who didn't really care, and without any kind of medical expertise, no medical training, he's just dishing it out because he's only got one thing on his mind: get her unconscious so I can screw her.
I wonder if
without her memory.
I wonder if they did luminol at any of his locations. Are you aware of any of that?
No, I don't know anything about that. Much of the discussion in court was about Benadryl and Quaaludes. He kept saying that what had been given to the girls was Benadryl. But, the fact is that the pills were broken in half, some of them, and he would give one whole one and two halves. And you're going, well, why did you break it in half? And of course, the logic tells you he did it because he was slipping something else in that sort of looked like something less, less damaging.
Very
rough.
Yeah,
so there was an awful lot of discussion about that, transcripts and stuff during the court hearings. It was very interesting. And then, of course, there was an awful lot going over phone records, and that was tedious because the defense was really working on finding discrepancies in phone records to throw the prosecutor, the DA, off the track, get them hung up on petty details that had nothing to do with what really happened, trying to prove that she kept calling him, Andrea Constant, and that somehow she was in love with him while she's a lesbian woman. She's 16
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. And a lot of naivete, but I do think a lot of men are very turned on to the fact that somebody is a lesbian. I've seen that happen before. Oh my gosh, I turned her around, total naivete. That doesn't happen.
It's the big challenge for his manhood. He wants to show that he's the greatest stag on the planet, and is so phenomenal in bed that he can even change a lesbian into a heterosexual. I'm going, please get off it.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
It is that game that certain guys need to play with their own heads.
Yeah, I've heard that, or they think, can I watch two women together? I've heard of guys being like that too. And if they were to drug two women, maybe they could get them together.
Jonathan, I can't hear.
Of course. I mean, if
I
one
think everyone's
unconscious and had, for instance, just suppose he had his wife with him and a few of his buddies, you know,
it's very
they could have a really nice
alone.
party on this poor woman's unconscious body. And most of the girls I know that I have spoken to,
I'm here.
They would 2 sips into their drink, they'd be unconscious and they would not remember whatever happened, and then the next day they would wake up. And they'd either find themselves back in their own apartment and their car parked in front of their apartment, or they'd wake up and find themselves in his bed and he was there.
Oh,
and
God.
Yet they would be, you know, swollen and bloody and in pain.
Oh, that's horrible. No regard. Well, listen, Jonathan, I'm going to get off the phone here. I've got to do dinner.
Okay.
And Victoria, we can talk another time. Maybe I can get your number and we can
chat. It was nice talking with you.
And the phone keeps cutting off and on and off and on, so I can't hear. But I'm sure the crowd would love to hear what you have to say. And certainly I'm a huge person that offers prevention. And I say, listen, don't go with 3 girls. Don't go with 2 girls when you go out. And don't leave each other, and don't take a ride from a stranger, etc. The old sayings that our mothers told us. But men do have an agenda, and a lot of us are just naive to that. But I enjoyed the conversation. I'm going to go have dinner. You guys have a great night, and thank you for having me, Jonathan. And
thank you.
Victoria, don't hesitate to call me if I can help you in any way.
And may I add one more thing to your prevention list? Don't leave your drink sitting on the bar or at the table while you go to the ladies' room. Take it with you.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Good pointer.
And
that's a great pointer.
Can you guys hear me?
I couldn't
hear you.
hear, so I'm gonna hang up. Jonathan, take over. Everybody, have a nice night. All right.
Yeah. Thanks. You too.
Bye.
All right.
She couldn't hear me, but you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. There's one more prevention thing that I've learned through somebody else is if you're going to go on a date with someone, meet them in a public place that's well lit, drive your own car, don't let them know where you're from. That seems kind of obvious, but the next step is before you go, have somebody that you are going to have by the phone and say, I'm going to call at such and such a time, and have a code word if things are not going well. That wouldn't be a suspected, you know, like why would she mention the word kumquat? You know, it's not something obvious. Yeah, like
I'll give you another example. There was this lady, I think I heard somewhere, what had happened was, I read about this on Quora. And, you know, when you first hear about this, you're going to think this doesn't make any sense, but this is what she did. She she called 911, and she goes, this is 911. And she said, yes, I'd like to order a pizza, please. And, you know, the guy that did the 911 was like, what are you doing? This is a police office. Why are you saying? And she kept going on pretending like she was ordering a pizza. Well, what happened was that the guy on the other end of the phone was saying, ma'am, are you able to talk freely? And then she goes, no. And then she goes, yes, and I'd like to have it ordered soon because my husband's getting very upset. You know, she was wording it so that what she was doing was ordering pizza, but it was a ruse. And it was very smart, actually. Don't you think so, Victoria?
I'm sorry, don't I think so what?
Don't you think that was kind of smart of her to do that?
Oh, well, yeah, and I think that was a very clever idea, actually. I've had something similar happen to me at one point in my life when I was about 22. And, and if it hadn't been for my putting on my tone of voice and answering in certain ways when somebody called, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you. So, yeah, because it was my neighbor who was calling just randomly, and it turned out to be the right time, and because he said, are you all right? And I said, no. And he said, do you want me to call the police? And I said, absolutely. And in a minute and a half, I think the police were at my front door.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
and that
I don't
person that
know
called
if you...
the police and saved my life was Frank Sinatra's valet, who lived in the apartment complex next to mine off Sunset Strip. He saved my life.
Wow.
Now, I've said this before. I mean, I really do think that Victoria, that you would make a great mother figure for Kelly. I'm not going to force anything, but it's just that, you know, Kelly is always worried about everything, and I think it's because she doesn't have a mom to really go to. And when I found out she didn't have a mom to go to, and I found out that you probably understood a lot of what she had gone through, a lot of what Kelly's gone through. Kelly's been through an abusive marriage, and she talked about it on
and in one of those too.
They're not fun.
And you know, Kelly is my best friend, and she's really sweet, and she's a great co-host to have, and I love putting us out, you know. But I mean, it's just that the two of you should talk more because of the similarities that you have. I mean, you said that when you were in Playboy, that you were forced to do Playboy.
I'm sorry, that I was forced into Playboy? No, I wasn't forced into it. I was just posing for my husband, who was an aspiring photographer, and he submitted my pictures to a magazine I had never heard of or never seen, and I was accepted, and I didn't know that it was a big deal. I didn't know that it was going to be seen by my parents across the country, and that it would affect the rest of my life. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a private moment, and then all of a sudden it's submitted somewhere and people are seeing it. That's got to be kind of scary and maddening and invasive. Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, I kept still thinking I was doing it for my husband's career, and you know, my father was an artist. He and his artist friends always used their wives for their models, so, you know, it wasn't a concept I was alien to, and I just didn't think it was a big deal. And the only thing I hoped was that my father wouldn't see it. And then of course he did, or his friend did, and then they were so embarrassed, and oh my God, I was disowned, and anyway. But then my husband also got the money for it, and it didn't occur to me that it was. Somehow it just didn't occur to me that it was specifically mine. I was, you know, a kid just coming out of the 50s where father knows best, and wives always turn their money over to their husbands because they're the ones who handle the finances and take care of everything. And yeah, so I had a mother that was like that, and so I never realized that there was anything else I should be doing at that time. You know, this is 1963. So, yeah, it was kind of a rude awakening, and the more I think back on it, I mean, it wasn't very much money anyway at the time, because Playmates then were making $1,000 for a centerfold, and now it's like $25,000.
Oh, yeah.
Or
that
higher.
Was good money back then.
Yeah, it was. And he kept me around long enough so he could collect it. And, of course, I was pregnant. I discovered I was pregnant the day before I shot the centerfold, and I delivered my son the day after it hit the stands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre? So,
yeah, it is.
so the whole time in between, between the time we shot the centerfold and by the time it was published, I was pregnant the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so that's it, pretty much, and then you grow into other places in your head, and you discover that you should have been taught as a child how to be in charge of your own life as a woman,
Yeah.
and stand on your own 2 feet. Uh-huh.
Did you say that you thought that you told me you had a miscarriage?
Yeah, I've had miscarriages.
Okay, because Kelly did too, and that was a commonality that I wanted to bring up. I mean,
I've talked about it before. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one of those life-changing things.
Well, yeah, I guess I never. Yeah, there were a couple. I didn't necessarily see them as life-changing. I mean, I've had abortions also because I believe in choice, and I believe in being able to make my own decisions about whether it's the right time in my life and whether it's also the right person, that I want to have a child with. And sometimes, it's not something that, is optional.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. For me, it was traumatic to lose my baby because I'd never been pregnant before, and I didn't get pregnant till I was 43. So it was like, oh, a miracle baby, and then
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. Well, I take everything I said back. Yes, I can imagine that would be earth-shaking and life-changing.
Yeah, I was
amazing.
like, oh, boy, I'm having a baby. Yeah, I never imagined I'd be a mom. Okay, great. I love this guy, and then it was like, and it's not gonna make it. What? Wait a minute. Why did I get teased with the, here I was set to be okay not having kids. I mean, I think I was infertile or whatever, who knows, but the whole thing I was, when I was married to the abusive husband, this is a totally different guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, about how, computers, they pick up on the fact that you're pregnant, but they don't pick up on the fact that you had the miscarriage. So what was going on, Victoria, was that she kept getting all these messages of 6 months on. This is, you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you should be doing this and this. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, thanks. And you get things in the mail. Oh, you're almost ready to have your baby. Here's a birth plan, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. So it was like all these reminders, and then, and I was afraid to get pregnant like most of my life anyway, because I had my mom saying, well, you don't know if you're a carrier for muscular dystrophy. We didn't see it in the family before, now your cousin has it. And then when I was married to the abusive ex-husband, he one time punched me in the stomach and yelled, "No babies." And he said that if I did get pregnant, he'd get a coat hanger and the vacuum attachment. So I was deathly afraid of getting pregnant. So then, 15 years later, I got pregnant for the first time with a guy that I love that treats me well. And, I was excited, after I was done being afraid, and then that happened. So, we're going into, well, if we're supposed to, we'll get pregnant again and it'll work, But it took a long time for me to get to that point where it wasn't like, feeling angry and devastated and, and people treat you different when you are my age and haven't had kids. they act like you're less of a woman, or they act like, well, you couldn't understand what my life is like. I've got kids, you know, or they think you're selfish, or, you know, just a bunch of, you know, bull.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess that surprises me. It never occurred to me that people would treat another woman like that just simply because, you know, she had chosen not to have children or was unable to, depending on the situation. That's too bad.
Yeah, and most of my life, honestly, I chose not to have children. But, you know, it was because I wasn't in the right, you know, place in my life. I wasn't with the right person. I didn't have stability. And I didn't want to, you know, take the chance of bringing another life into that until I was where I should be.
Right.
So, you know.
Right.
But, you know. But, I mean, it happened.
Well, absolutely. Well, it was probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah. And then I got past 35 and thought, well, you know, birth control is kind of a risk for women past 35 and blood clots and whatnot. So I figured, well, I'm probably not going to get pregnant. I haven't until now, and then it took till I was 43. But I wasn't active the whole time. But yeah. So, yeah, so it was like, oh, wow, that was unexpected. Oh, it's a miracle.
I'll bet.
And then, yeah, and then it was now I'm turning on my ear. Yeah. Yeah, life.
Well, my youngest daughter, I gave birth to her. I home birthed her, actually, when I was 36 on our dairy goat farm up in Oregon in 1979 with a lay midwife. And it was a great experience, and she's 38 now, and she has 3 children, a husband and 3 children of her own, and they have moved to North Carolina and have a really, really pretty good life.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and she, you know, felt so encouraged because I had home birthed her and had such a wonderful experience, so she home birthed her 3. And I was present for each birth. So that was really a nice thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, you know, if I was younger and I could do it, I would want home birth. And I still would want it now, but there's so many things that could happen, you know, when you're older that would probably
How old are you now?
I'm 44.
Okay. The last time I got pregnant, I thought I was pregnant. I was 44. And rushed over to get tested, only to discover I was actually going through menopause.
Oh, God. That's not what you wanted to hear.
It was one of those, huh? What?
I know
what do you mean
that. Oh, wow.
You know, it's actually kind of funny. Just chimed in maybe a little bit. I worked for customer service for Walmart, and this woman called in. The rule was we could only ask for a supervisor. If this lady didn't want a supervisor, she wanted me to give her tons of information on the tampons that we sell. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
First of all, I wanted to say to her, I said, listen, lady, I don't know anything about tampons. And she kept asking me questions like, but do they look really big? Do they look like they would kick?
Oh, my God.
Do they look like they would, you know, cut really deep? And I'm like, lady, I don't know. I mean, there's a very good reason I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, there's somebody else with an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, women can do it too. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know anything about tampons. I've never worn one on. I mean, there's a very good reason for that.
Wow.
And
you could have said something that would have thrown her off completely and said, Well, I don't know. When my nose runs and I use them in my nose, they don't chafe very much.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
that's an interesting optic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah,
for 20 minutes, she did
say.
this to me. For 20 minutes, she did this to me. She was like, okay, read me this side. What kind of tampons are they?
God.
And I'm like, I don't know. I've never bought one before.
They have applicators, okay? Yeah, I mean, what kind are there? Wow, yeah. That'd be like if a woman called up at Walgreens and wanted a description of all the condoms on the shelf by a guy working there. Yeah.
Or
that'd be like,
jock strap.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm buying one for my son. Yeah. Can you describe them for me? There's a lot of weird people out there. Yeah. I mean, and you're in a professional setting, so it's not like you can be like, all right, lady, I know you're just trying to mess with me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
Yeah, hopefully that didn't just spawn a whole bunch of people calling Walmart customer service right now and trying to mess with the people.
Well, it's like all those little, hang-up calls and stuff that we all used to do in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, we thought that was a big deal.
Thought it was pretty funny, and I remember some things we did that were pretty cruel.
I think what it is now they have caller ID, so you can't do that anymore. But I mean, actually, it's one thing I found out. I don't know if you know this or not. You know that lady that there was this television show, and it was Dick Clark. It says, we have a lady in the audience. There's a lady in the audience whose voice you hear every day, and everybody wonders, okay, she's heard more than Madonna, she's heard more than Michael Jackson. So why don't you let us know what we hear every day? So she hands the microphone to this lady, and she picks it up and she goes, "The number you have dialed has been disconnected or no longer in service."
Oh, that is funny.
Oh, wow.
That was her line. She records
and
the
that's
voices.
a real lady. That's the real lady. That's a real lady. The lady that says the number you have dialed has been disconnected or is no longer in service. And it got me thinking. Wow. Does she ever do that to get rid of telemarketers? I mean, does she ever answer the phone and go, the number you have dialed has been disconnected or no longer in service? Click. That's a real lady.
Yeah, well, that's the one. Oh my gosh.
The number is great.
Well,
yeah.
Do you feel like what? What are you gonna say?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go on with what you're gonna say. That's fine.
Well, I don't know what I was going to say. I'm waiting for you to bring up the next topic.
I guess the thing is that you and Kelly do have a lot of like in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you agree with that, Kelly?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well,
because. I mean, it's like, do you think, though, that there's been any improvement recently in how women are treated, though?
Well, I think we've put men on notice, especially powerful, rich, and famous men, for sure. And I think men have had to stop and think about how they behave with other women, and we're just not, pieces of Kleenex to be used and thrown away. That there will be consequences if they overreach, their expected behavior. If they are not treating women properly.
Right.
What do you think of Bill Clinton?
I'm sorry, what?
Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah, good old Bill. Yeah. Well, he probably should have had to leave office. The thing is, he continued to work for the country, which is a different situation in some ways. But these days it doesn't matter what they're doing if they're I just think that a woman's value is having to be reevaluated now, and is being reevaluated as people are discussing it more in the media. It's making people have to stop and really think about it.
Because
that's a good thing.
2016 election, everybody, was like, oh, she's gonna win, and she might as well. I mean, everybody predicted that, all of the things said that, to the point where this is the first time where the polls have been so off that they could only have attributed it to something being rigged.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
one thing a little off topic from the election was until I met the person that I'm with, I was on dating sites, and then I would be so disgusted I would leave dating sites, and then I'd go back to a different dating site, and I'm talking with my friends who are single now, and it doesn't seem to be improving much as far as the way men are treating single women, and I'll tell you a few reasons why. Men, not all of them obviously, because I met mine on a dating site, but I'd have to say that probably 10 to 20% of the guys on there are not just trying to get in someone's pants, but there's a good, at least 60 to 80% that are, and some that are just, they wouldn't mind if they did, but they're not going to push the agenda. But what I've noticed is that guys tend to try to order up the perfect woman like they would a pizza, and I don't like this about her, so bye, and they ghost on her, which means they never hear from them again after they've gone out. And then there's the ones that they don't want to commit because they feel like the perfect one is just around the corner if they keep trekking. And I think it's leading to a lot of unhappy relationships that people get into because one or both people are still keeping an eye out there, and that's one of the disadvantages to our computer age and dating is that a lot of people are also losing their people skills and how to communicate.
Absolutely.
And people, like, when I was on there, it was like almost right off the bat, they want to send, like, penis pictures. And, it's harassment if you don't want it, and they just send it anyway. They assume you want it, or somehow it's going to change your mind and you want to go out with them. But it's just,
that frankly grosses me out. I mean, that would be the one thing that would, just, it would X them right off my list. I mean, I don't date, so I actually live a monastic life, so I'm not looking for a man, so I don't go on any of these these sites. I just don't, not interested.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I was shocked. I was grossed out, and then it was like one after another, and it's like, what is this? The penis gallery? It was just crazy. Like, did they just hand these out like they do business cards? I mean, what is this? Are we supposed to play
actually,
a game
one time
here?
One time I was joking around. I was thinking, what would happen if they put penis pictures on their driver's license instead of their picture?
For God's
sake. It seems like that's almost what they want.
Well, they can't really legally because you have to take your picture right there in the DMV. How can they?
No, I was joking around, but.
I see. I'm sorry, I missed the humor in that.
The only time that you would ever want to see it would be another adult anyway, so it wouldn't be a kid that would be seeing it. Can you imagine that license being pulled over, license administration, and penis picture, please?
Oh my God.
God. Yeah, that would be. Yeah. That. But yeah, there's guys that, they want to know measurements, they want to know this and that and the other, and it's like, none of your business, bye. If I, like, a lot of times I would just block. I didn't want to reply. I mean, but then, there are the decent ones who would just talk about their day and what are you up to and, stuff like that. But there were an awful lot of just really vulgar ones that, have no people skills. And then you stay on that interest, and then they get all upset and angry, like, cutting you down and why and all this, as if cutting me down is going to make me change my mind and say, oh, you know what, I made a mistake. Yeah, let's go out Friday. I mean, it's just really bizarre to me.
I guess I would really be very afraid to go out with someone that I hadn't met. I wasn't introduced by a mutual friend, or I didn't know through, just meeting them socially or, work or whatever. Yeah, I that makes me very nervous, the thought of that. I mean, I go by vibe anyway. I always have, If you feel a certain chemistry to someone, but to go online, how can you feel chemistry, It's just a laundry list of likes and dislikes. And to me that, I've seen in my lifetime multiple people that share the same likes and dislikes I do, but I have absolutely no chemistry with them. And not only that, maybe they smell bad, I mean, stop and think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are all kinds of things, or they, have lousy table manners, or different things that, that you can't tell when you're just, sharing information in an online format. You just can't do it. And you could save a whole lot of trouble and waste less time if you meet them in person, because then if all of those sensory things are intact or not,
Yeah.
Because, there have been an awful lot of people who've had wonderful relationships because, lifelong marriages, because they had chemistry, and then they just learned to work with their differences of opinion about things, or their different tastes about certain things, but they work with it because they love each other and they feel connected to each other on a deeper level.
Yeah, that's important. I think that's how it should be. And unfortunately, people, like I said, feel like they can order up a person like they can a pizza. If it doesn't work, just go on to the next one, because there's going to be an infinite flow of people coming through, and that they can pick and choose, and there's always going to be somebody better around the corner, and that doesn't make for lasting relationships when they have that mindset.
And it's the wrong set of values. That's not what builds a strong foundation. That's just sort of, let me go here until the wind changes.
Yeah, they want instant gratification, instant relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There was one guy I was messaging back and forth a few years ago, and he wanted to get married. I'm like, no, are you crazy? We haven't even met yet. And that turned me right off.
Exactly.
And we haven't even been messaging that much, It's like, okay, what's wrong with this guy? He wants to latch on that fast without even meeting. And then he got mad that I didn't want to meet him after that. And it's like, why would I want to? I'm not looking to get married.
Exactly, because immediately you start thinking, what is their agenda?
Yeah,
you know, they've got another
want?
agenda. They've got, you know, either they're broke and they think you've got money and they're looking for somebody to take care of them, or if it's somebody from another country, maybe they're looking to get married so that they can, you know, come over to this country. And, you know, I mean, there are a lot of things where they're running away from something. You know, maybe it's just running away from themselves, you know, and trying to, you know, reestablish themselves in a new setting without working out their stuff. Oh. Yeah, it's yeah. To me, it's very scary. Yeah. I mean, it's scary anyway when you're meeting somebody and you feel connected, but you don't know what their history is. And of course, the older you are, there's a whole lot more backstory than there, you know, was when you were young. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, you know, especially when you live in a city, you know, families don't know each other. You meet some isolated person 3,000 miles away from where they grew up and where you grew up, a different place, and you don't know. Maybe the guy knows how to charm you, but you don't know that he comes from a specific type of family that is known for its problems in whatever way, you know, whatever the problems are, you know, or maybe they're just, you know, ne'er-do-wells, or, you know, it's a family of abusers, or, you know, I mean, there's things that you don't know about when you see people outside of their own family framework, you know?
Yeah, and they don't have a sticker on their forehead with a warning label.
Exactamundo.
Yeah,
you know, that's the good news about small towns, because families know each other all the way back from generations, and they know what they're getting into, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so. Yeah, it's like the good thing is everybody knows everybody. The downside is everybody knows everybody's business, which can go either way, really, good or bad, you know.
Oh, there's always that. There is always going to be that. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a weird, you know, fast-paced world. Everybody wants everything right now.
Well, it was that way in the '60s. I co-starred in an independent film called Imago in 1969 maybe, and I remember. And well, that was the theme anyway. It was all about instant gratification. People were worried about it then. What was that? 60 years ago?
Yeah.
Almost, you know, over 50 years ago. You know, writing scripts about that. Instant coffee, instant this, instant that, you know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and now it's even worse.
I mean, but let me ask you this. I mean, do you feel that? But you said that women are more on guard. Do you feel men are different now, or do you feel like every once in a while you run into a really nice person, nice guy?
Well,
I know I have, but yeah.
Well, I meet nice guys too, but I don't get involved with them. So, I mean, I meet men who I, you know, cross paths with when I'm doing media, and, you know, I know a lot of the journalists and the, you know, the correspondents and the producers and stuff, and the hosts of different shows, and, you know, and you're out there, so you're crossing paths with a lot of different people, but, since I'm not in a relationship and haven't been in a personal relationship for 18 years or more, it's you know, it's hard to tell, you know, on that level whether guys have changed. I know a lot of men, certainly in the media and journalists, you know, the journalists and the correspondents that I've crossed paths with over this last 4 years of doing Cosby activism. I had the the privilege of knowing some really good guys who really express a new awareness within themselves, and their belief in women's rights and their desire to have a world where women are treated with the respect that they feel, and just have a more co-equal relationship and awareness with each other.
What's the nicest a man has ever treated you in Hollywood?
I'm sorry, what? What's the what?
The nicest treatment you've ever gotten from a man.
I'm say that again. What's the what I've ever gotten from a man? What's the most pissed off I've ever been with a man? Is that what you're asking?
No, nicest treatment. Like the nicest thing a man has ever done to you in Hollywood that you thought, wow, that's a breath of fresh air.
Oh, well, I have no idea. I would have to ponder that for a couple of weeks, maybe.
Okay.
I really couldn't even begin to answer that question.
Okay. I mean, are you there, Kelly?
Yeah. I was just wondering, you didn't grow up as a celebrity. You became one after the pictures ended up hitting the magazine. So how do you perceive that people treated you before and after you became famous, or interacted with you or regarded you? Was it any different? As far as did you have people have the wow factor and want to get to know you, want to get close with you after it happened, or did people just kind of treat you the same?
Well, I grew up first of all in Connecticut and New York, and my aunties and uncles were all singing and dancing on Broadway. All my mom's friends, my parents' friends, and my father was an artist. So we were always involved in more of the show business and art world side anyway. But
okay.
Growing up, I always had my ballet classes, and I was in a lot of school plays and this and that. So I was always around people, who were a little bit more open about their interests in me, more so than marriage and baby carriage and all that stuff. We were all kind of focused on show business, on the theater. But all I can say is that there is quite a bit of difference between the people on the East Coast and the people on the West Coast, in New England and New York. But I had found, because I was a very beautiful young girl, and it was the end of the 50s, beginning of the 60s, and everybody was starting to wear the eyeliner, and you're a young girl and you just don't realize the look that you're presenting is going to be attracting the wrong kinds of people. But there were an awful lot of people who were just, they would say anything, do anything to get you into bed. And I, was very young and trusting, and I was away at private school in Manhattan. And so a lot of times when, they would say that, I really trusted them. I wanted to trust them. I wanted to believe that people, I just didn't know any different, for the most part.
Yeah.
And then once I came out to California, it was a very different kind of person. I was never happy in California when I first came out from New York. And I really, really, really wanted to go back to New York, but my parents moved out here, and by that time I was married to my son's father, and he was the one who had me become a playmate. And then after the magazine hit the stands, he started trafficking me in 1964 for about 3 horrendous months. until I managed to escape and, and try to start my own life. But it took me quite a few years to get myself into a healthy place. It was not an easy journey. And then 1969, when I really thought I had a foot in the door with a recording contract at Capitol, then my little boy drowned. He had just turned 6. And then a few weeks later, Cosby raped me. And so that just kind of threw a wrench in the works, and I left Los Angeles, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself. I got out in the country and, around real people, and my life slowed down. And, it was about cooking and crocheting and children and digging gardens, and, and that was very healing and very healthy and put life back on track. And then I went to college up in Portland, majored in art history and graphic design and pottery. And that was a really good thing. Then I had a farm out in Oregon and raised goats, 5 good milkers, and taught myself how to do all my own vet work. And then I got a job in a nursing home as a nursing assistant. And not because I wanted to be a nurse, but because I needed extra grain money for my goats. And I didn't know that I had to become certified, so I had to take this course so I could keep the job. And then over time, my marriage, my third domestic partnership broke up. He had a habit of walking away when things got heavy and leaving me holding the bag and the children and paying the bills and everything. And then at that point, I was 39, and I decided that I couldn't depend on a man, that I had to depend on myself. And I had a very good experience in college, and I was always very much academically inclined and a good student, and I loved learning, and I loved achieving and accomplishing. So I went back to college, and when I was 39, and I graduated with my RN when I was 42. And so I've been a registered nurse for almost 33 years. 33 years, come January of 2019. Yeah.
That's really inspiring. I mean, it's never too late to turn something around and to try out something new and see what you can do.
Well, yeah, it's true, and I found a lot of comfort in giving service to others. It helped heal me, and I do believe that when you use your own pain and transform it into compassion for others, then you find healing yourself, and you also give others a more authentic experience, because too many times when people are suffering, people come along with a lot of platitudinous comments. Oh, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Well, no, it's not. My kid just died, it's not going to ever be fine again, don't tell me these things, so you wind up bringing your own pain and your own understanding of that into situations where your authenticity is important. You can give much more comfort and provide better service to other people who are suffering if you yourself are sincere and really have empathy, not just sympathy, but empathy, where you can actually, say to someone, I hear you, I feel you. And sometimes just knowing what you know and having felt what you feel, you can sit with someone and you don't necessarily even have to exchange words, because the feeling is there between you, and you can give comfort by your silent presence. So in all of that, there is healing.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm still trying to find. I know that we reach people. I know that we help people when they listen or when they call into the show. And that really excites me because, I've spoken in front of women at the YWCA in the sexual assault area. I've, done different things, but it's like I want to do more. I want to do more because healing is, it takes place on so many levels. And you think you're done and you're not. And then, sometimes it brings up something new to wrestle with. But, I honestly think that whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
I have a question for Victoria. Because do you know anybody that you could recommend get a chakra day on the show with Kelly?
Oh, get a chakra reading?
A chakra cleansing.
I'll have to think about that. I don't have anybody off the top of my head right this minute.
Maybe Devin Vasquez, maybe. I don't know.
Well, she's in Europe right now traveling with her husband. He's on tour. So
we could do it on video, but okay. But if you have any ones that have any suggestions.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that one.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you. I have to. Plus, I would have to ask permission. If I think of anybody. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm big on consent. So, and
hey, good.
People. And it's like the consent. I figured by you coming on the show to have your chakras done, I didn't need to ask you. If I can do, like a chakra reading. But, if I'm encountering people just walking down the street or whatever, I'm not going to go up and say, hey, so I'm picking up on blah, 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 because I shut that off. I don't want to pick up on people's stuff unless I'm asked to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Healthy boundaries, right?
Yeah, exactly, Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't want it done to me, so I don't want to do it to other people.
That's it. Absolutely not. Well, let me think on that. I really need to ponder it.
I think we're about 2 minutes left. About 2 minutes left, but it's really great that you came on, Victoria. I hope that I did everything I could to treat you with respect, and that you wanted, that you deserve, because what you've been through is definitely not respectful. I mean, nobody deserves to go through that. I wanted you to have a voice, and I hope that you'll come back, and maybe when we have psychics on, then you can call and ask questions. So, I mean, does that sound like something you'd like to do?
Well, at some point, right now, I'm really preparing to get myself ready to leave for New Jersey. I'm going to be staying in New Jersey to finish the editing of my memoir, which is called Dirty Diamonds, and hope to have a publisher this year at some point. I don't know when that will happen, but it is that goal. And so right now I'm working on that, and I will also be speaking at an event in Green Bay, Wisconsin on March 10th. There's an awful lot of sex trafficking up there, and I have been invited to come and be a keynote speaker for that event. And women and their daughters. So it's going to be an exploration of feelings, and I think, I certainly hope it's going to be a really beautiful cleansing event and filled with good exchanges, good communication, and a lot of good food. So I'll be giving a couple of speeches in March, and
but
then
I do hope that
my recording has been postponed until the springtime. So.
Okay, well, I do hope sometime when you are free that you can come back on, is what I meant.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jonathan, and thank you, Kelly, for reading my chakras, and it was very enlightening, and I appreciate that, and very affirming.
Thank you.
So,
thank you. It's been an honor to meet you and talk with you. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.